Hello and welcome back to the TP&I podcast. For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. Last year, towards the end of last year, we started this little mini series of what I am calling challenging poverty interviews. We've collected questions from members of the public, particularly from our lived experience forum, which we're asking to people across the board. This is our third interview of the series and one that I am particularly excited about because today we have Aberdeenshire Council's Housing and Building Standards Head of Service, Alexander, and more informally known to us at the Council as Ali. So it's great to have you here with us today.
Thanks, Mana. Good to be here.
No worries. Let's start off simple. You have quite an important and I imagine extensive role here at the council. Could you tell us a bit about that and what it is that you do?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the head of Housing and Building Standards with Aberdeenshire Council. We have 13,000 council homes, and so we're responsible for managing those buildings and those tenancies. I think the service is really about meeting housing need. And so, for example, we have up to around about 1,000 people a year who present as homeless. And so we need to try and find permanent solutions for those people. And while we meet most of that need for our existing housing stock, part of the response to that is either by building new affordable homes for the council or helping other social landlords to deliver more themselves. And I mean, none of that's done in isolation because we also help to manage the private rented sector, and we have a role with owner occupiers as well in terms of a building standards team who will process 2,000 to 3,000 building warrants a year as well. So it's quite a wide-ranging role we have in this service.
Yeah, well, you sound like a very busy man. So again, I appreciate the time that you've taken for us today. We'll just move on now to the most important part of the interview, which is our public submissions. I'll just jump right in here. First question, the perception from some local people is that affordable housing is being restricted to the larger villages and settlements in Aberdeenshire, resulting in the depopulation of some of the smaller areas. The local people would like to know, why does there appear to be a strategy in place that puts people to live in certain areas and kind of destroys the smaller existing communities?
Yeah, okay. So I touched on our role being about responding to housing need. And
Yes.
so from my perspective, the ideal position for us is to have the right proportion of affordable housing in each community across Aberdeenshire. And that proportion, I think, will vary across different villages and towns, but there will be a need across most, if not all, communities in Aberdeenshire. So currently the council has stock in over 130 different communities within the local authority area. So I think that shows that there is that commitment to the entire shire. But we also know that there are many areas of within Aberdeenshire where the existing supply of affordable housing is sufficient to meet the housing need that's in place. In some places we can actually struggle to let properties, and for example, some of our homes in our sheltered housing complexes, we can actually struggle to let those as well. So there is a kind of different mix and different picture across.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's in terms of kind of our existing stock, but also in terms of new supply. We have a plan for building new homes. That's our strategic housing investment plan. And that tells us where housing need is its highest, so which is often in our larger towns. So how we assess housing need is we look at things like the number of social homes we have, the turnover of these homes, and the number of people on the waiting list, and that gives us a ratio between those three figures. And that ratio allows us to do a like-for-like comparison across towns and villages to identify where the housing need is highest across our different communities, and that helps inform where we build next. So, in terms of having the right affordable housing in each place, to give a few examples, there are locations such as I think West Hill, Balmedy, Portlethen, Stonehaven, where there is a lot of housing pressure. And those places would benefit from a higher proportion of affordable housing stock in order to meet housing needs. So while our plan does identify these places as places that come top of our rankings, it also, at the same time, it also captures over 2,200, I think it's about 2,200 new homes across a range of both urban and rural locations in Aberdeenshire. So there is need across the Shire. It's just, I suppose, it's different scales of it. I think, I mean, just to illustrate the point, I mean, I come from a small rural village myself,
Yeah.
and I know there's hidden housing needs, and even a small development of affordable housing can have a really big impact on that local community and that local village. It allows people to live and work locally. So, so where there are, from our perspective, where there are rural communities that want to see more affordable housing delivered in their area, we will always work with them to help them understand, and us understand the local picture of housing need, and to look at what opportunities there are that we could do something about it together.
Yeah, the perfect answer. Okay, so our next question's a little bit of a lengthy one, but when submitting non-emergency repairs via the online form, a tenant and her partner, for lack of a better term and using their own words, found this feature kind of useless. Every time they would request a housing repair via this feature, they would find themselves having to go down to the service point in person to chase up inquiries and get any sort of appointments made. Further, if they do go down to the office in person, they've found that they've been then sent home to wait for further phone calls, which in turn, it's all very time consuming and like frustrating. The assumption is that this feature is supposed to make making these requests more convenient, but the result is that it's doing quite the opposite, and it's requiring more chasing up on the tenant's part. Were you aware that this feature is so problematic?
Yeah, so yeah, the online form there is as an alternative to having to come into the service point or having to phone up the contact centre, because we do appreciate that there can be very long delays, particularly at peak periods, to reach the advisor to report a repair. So that's the purpose behind it, and from my understanding, it generally tends to work well. But I absolutely appreciate that in this situation, the process should have worked much better for this tenant. So I think generally speaking, though, we should have a more straightforward process for reporting repairs for our tenants. When repairs are done, satisfaction with them is actually really high. It's about 95%. But it's that process in terms of actually reporting the repair that we'd like to get slicker at. So I think just in terms of this case, when a customer hasn't received an appointment option, this can be due to the repair requiring a multi-trade job. And when that happens, the job needs to be moved from the customer service centre into the housing and building standards service to be us to coordinate it. And I think normally this tends to work okay, but I appreciate there are extra steps in here, and as we say, in this case, it didn't work as well as we'd liked. But I mean, any issues with this process, we will always be happy to look into. So anyone else who has similar experiences, please just flag them up to us so we can investigate those. I think the point's well made. Going forward, we want to improve the customer journey for our tenants. We are developing a new system which will be called Housing Online Repairs, and that will allow tenants to report repairs, to pick an appointment time, to track the repairs online, and just let them know how satisfied they are as well with the process and the repair. All of this will be able to take place through an app, so it'll save tenants having to either use the online form or call up the contact centre, or even visit a service report point to report the repair. So that's what we're hoping to develop in the coming months, and I think that will hopefully make a big difference for folk.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I'll be sure to follow up with that tenant in the coming months, because that sounds like honestly the solution to what they're asking. I mean, I'm a tenant myself, and I've been a tenant for almost 10 years now, so I've got first-hand experience with this as well, and I can definitely appreciate how frustrating it can be. But yeah, and I can also appreciate at this point we've had an array of storms as well, which has probably caused a lot of delay and backup. But I feel it is important to note that I did get this before the snow and the storms took place. So
no, absolutely, it should work. It should work better for folk, absolutely, and there's no question about that. That in this case, we've not done as well as we should have done. So that's why we're wanting to improve the process, ultimately with the more digital route.
Well, I'm glad to hear that that's something that's in the works. Well, I think actually that was all I had for you today. Quite a quick one. But yeah, again, thank you so much for your time. It's really appreciated. I know how busy you are. I know that I appreciate it and the rest of the team. To asked questions of Ali today, I hope you found the answers helpful. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You could even go and check out the 2 previous videos as they're on different topics, so you might find something more interesting there. And yeah, I think that's all we have for today. So again, thank you for giving us your time today, Ali, and we'll see everyone in the next one. Bye.